morning sky over Thessera burned red, not from sunrise but from falling ships. Administrator Thelus pressed his thin hands against the window of the control center. His people were dying. The Velen had lived in peace for 3,000 years. They had no weapons, no soldiers, no way to fight back. Their bodies were too fragile for violence. A strong push could break their bones. A fall from standing height could kill them. The Krath did not care. Their warships hung in the sky like dark clouds. Energy beams lanced down from orbit, turning cities into glass and ash. Thelus watched a residential tower collapse in the distance. Thousands of lives ended in seconds. His hands shook. The Velen were herbivores, peaceful traders, artists, and philosophers. They had nothing the Krath wanted except their world. Administrator, the orbital stations are gone, his assistant whispered. Her voice cracked with fear. All of them. Thelus turned from the window. The control room was chaos. Screens showed destruction across every continent. His people fled underground into shelters that would become tombs if help did not arrive. He made his way to the communication station and pushed the technician aside gently. "What are you doing?" the technician asked. "Sending a message," Thelus said. He activated the emergency broadcast system, the one they had installed centuries ago but never used. His fingers moved across the controls, setting it to transmit on every frequency, to every corner of the galaxy. He took a breath and began to record. "This is Administrator Thelus of the Velen people on Thessera. We are under attack by the Krath Dominion. Our cities are burning. Our people are dying. We have no weapons. We have no military. We are pacifists. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help. We are dying. Please help us," he sent the message. It would reach the Galactic Council in hours. It would reach every species with faster-than-light communications. But Thelus knew the truth. The Council would debate. They would discuss protocols and procedures. They would send thoughts and prayers. But they would not send ships. No one wanted to fight the Krath. The Velen would die alone. Across the galaxy, Captain Deho stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. He was reviewing supply reports when the distress signal arrived. The communications officer, a young woman named Hana, straightened in her seat. "Captain, we have an emergency broadcast. It's on all channels. Play it," Deho said. Thelus's voice filled the bridge. The words were simple and desperate. When it ended, silence fell over the crew. Deho looked at the star map. Thessera was 3 sectors away. He had never heard of the Velen before. "Get me Admiral Hejin," he said quietly. 5 minutes later, Hejin's face appeared on the main screen. She was in her office on the command carrier Eternal, reviewing the same message. Her expression was stone. "You heard it," she said. It was not a question. "Yes, Admiral. Do we have orders?" "Not yet. The Council is still debating." Hejin's jaw tightened. "Debating while people die." Deho knew that look. He had served under Hejin for 6 years. She was the best officer in the fleet, tough but fair, brilliant in battle and loyal to her crew. She was also stubborn. When she made up her mind, nothing could change it. "Gather the fleet commanders," Hejin said. "Conference in 1 hour," the channel closed. Deho turned to his crew. They were watching him, waiting. Humans had only been in space for 70 years. They had only met aliens 40 years ago. The galaxy still did not trust them. Earth was classified as a death world, a planet so dangerous that surviving there made humans unnaturally strong and resilient. Most aliens feared humans, but fear was not respect. "Start calculating a jump to Thessera," Deho told his navigator, "just in case." 1 hour later, 8 ship captains appeared on split screens in the conference room. Admiral Hejin stood before them, her uniform crisp, her gray hair pulled back tight. Behind her stood Commander Taijin, her chief engineer, and Lieutenant Minseo, her tactical officer. "You all heard the distress call," Hejin began. "The Velen are being massacred. The Galactic Council has called for an emergency session, but that will take days. By then, the Velen will be extinct." "With respect, Admiral," one captain said, "we have no treaty with the Velen, no alliance. Intervening could damage our relationship with the Council." "Our relationship?" Hejin's voice was ice. "They barely tolerate us. They call us Deathworlders and keep us at arm's length. They smile and nod while treating us like savages." "Still," another captain said, "the Krath Dominion is powerful. If we attack them, it means war." Hejin walked closer to the screens. "Tell me something. Why did you join the fleet?" Why did any of you put on this uniform? Silence, I will tell you why I did, Hijin continued. Earth has a bloody history. We spent thousands of years killing each other over land, resources, religion, skin color. Millions died. We built weapons that could destroy our whole world. But we also learned something. We learned that strength without compassion is just cruelty. We learned that doing nothing in the face of evil makes us complicit. She straightened. The Velen asked for help. No one else will answer, so we will. What about orders from Earth? A captain asked. I am not waiting for orders, Yejin said flatly. We are going. Anyone who does not want to come can stay here. No judgment, no consequences. But I am going, Captain Deho spoke up. The Indomitable is with you, Admiral. One by one, the other captains agreed. All 8 ships. The entire 3rd Defense Fleet. Hyejin allowed herself a small smile. Good, Taejin, how fast can we get there? The engineer pulled up calculations. Thesara is 3 sectors away. Standard protocol says 6 days, but if we push the engines and skip the safety margins, we can do it in 3. 3 days it is. Minseo, pull everything we have on the Krath military. I want to know their tactics, their weaknesses, everything. Yes, Admiral. And someone get me Dr. Jiwon. She needs to study Velen biology. If there are survivors, we will need to know how to treat them. Hyejin paused. One more thing. Send a message to the Krath fleet at Thesara. Audio only. The communications officer nodded. Ready, Admiral. Hyejin's voice became steel. This is Admiral Hyejin of the 3rd Human Defense Fleet. You have 1 hour to withdraw all forces from Thesara. This is your only warning. After 1 hour, we will consider you hostile and respond accordingly. End transmission, the message sent. The captains on the screens looked nervous. They had just declared war on one of the galaxy's most aggressive empires. Dismissed, Hyejin said. All ships prepare for immediate departure. The screens went dark. Only Deho, Taejin, and Minseo remained. Taejin whistled low. Think they will actually withdraw? He asked. No, Hyejin said simply. But I wanted to give them the chance. Now, when we destroy their fleet, no one can say we did not try diplomacy. 3 hours later, the human fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed. Behind them, the Galactic Council was still debating what to do about Thesara. By the time they reached a decision, it would not matter. The humans were already on their way. On Thesara, Administrator Thelus huddled in an underground shelter with 500 of his people. The children cried. The adults tried to comfort them. Above ground, the Krath ground forces were executing anyone they found. Thelus had given up hope. His message had been sent hours ago. No one had responded. The galaxy had abandoned them. He closed his eyes and prayed to gods he was not sure existed. He prayed that his people's deaths would at least be quick. He did not know that help was already coming. He did not know about the 8 human warships racing across space at speeds that terrified their crews. He did not know that Admiral Hyejin had just done something unprecedented in galactic history. She had made the choice to fight for strangers, simply because it was right. In 3 days, the Krath would learn what it meant to face Deathworlders. In 3 days, the galaxy would change forever. But first, the humans had to get there in time. The engine screamed. Commander Taejin watched the readings climb higher and higher, past safe limits, past recommended maximums, into the red zone where most engineers would panic. He did not panic. He just adjusted the coolant flow and pushed harder. How are we doing? Captain Deho asked over the comm. Engines are at 130%, Taejin replied. If we were any other species, they would have exploded 2 days ago. Can we maintain this speed? For another 12 hours, yes. After that, I will need to do repairs. We will be there in 6 hours, Deho said. Good work, Taejin, the engineer smiled. This was what humans did best. They took machines to their absolute limits and then pushed further. Other species built their ships with large safety margins. Humans built their ships knowing that in an emergency, every rule could be broken. In the medical bay, Dr. Jiwon studied the data on Velen biology. It was worse than she thought. The Velen had hollow bones like birds. Their skin was thin and tore easily. Their organs were delicate. A punch that would bruise a human could kill a Velen. Even their blood pressure was low. They evolved on a planet with half Earth's gravity. How do we treat injuries we do not accidentally make worse? Her assistant asked. Very carefully, Jiwon said. She began preparing special medical equipment, softer restraints, gentler instruments. If there were survivors, every touch would have to be measured. She thought about the human medics who would have to handle these fragile people. They would need training and a lot of patience. In the tactical room, Lieutenant Minseo analyzed Krath battle tactics. She had every combat report from the last 50 years. The Krath were brutal but predictable. They relied on numerical superiority and heavy frontal assault. They used energy shields designed to stop laser and plasma weapons. They have never fought kinetic weapons, she muttered to herself. Human ships used railguns and missiles, physical projectiles moving at incredible speeds. Energy shields were useless against solid matter. She began running simulations. The human fleet was outnumbered 3-1 based on initial scans. But numbers were not everything. Humans could handle higher G-forces than most species. They could make sharper turns, faster accelerations. In a knife fight, that advantage was everything. Minseo smiled. The Krath were about to get a very unpleasant surprise. On the bridge, Admiral Hyagin stood perfectly still, watching the countdown timer. 5 hours until they reached the Sara. She had not slept in 2 days. She did not need to sleep yet. Humans could function on minimal rest for days when necessary. It was another gift from their violent planet. Admiral, the communications officer said, "We are receiving a response." "It is from the Krath fleet. Play it." A harsh voice filled the bridge. "Human fleet, this is Commander Vren of the Krath Dominion. Your warning is amusing. You have no authority here. The Sara belongs to the Dominion now. If you approach this system, we will destroy you. This planet's fate is sealed. Go home, Deathworlders, before you get hurt." The message ended. Several crew members looked angry. Hyejin remained calm. "Send no reply," she said. "Let him think we are afraid. Minseo, when we arrive, I want our first strike to cripple at least 3 of their ships before they can react." "Make it hurt." "Yes, Admiral." The hours crawled by. In the shelter on Thesara, Administrator Thelis tried to keep his people calm. They had been underground for 3 days. Food was running low. The air recyclers struggled to keep up. Above ground, the Krath had finished with the cities and were now hunting survivors. "Do you think anyone heard our message?" someone asked in the darkness. Thelis wanted to lie. He wanted to give them hope. But he was not a good liar. "I do not know," he said quietly. "But we must have faith." "Faith in what?" "The Council will not help us. No one will fight the Krath for us." Thelis had no answer. He held his daughter close and waited for the end. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Thesara system. Immediately, alarms blared. The Krath blockade was massive. 37 warships surrounded the planet like vultures. "Count confirmed," Minseo reported. 37 hostile vessels. "They are moving to intercept." "All ships, battle formation," Hyejin ordered. "Power to forward shields." "Prepare to engage," Captain Deho felt his heart rate increase. This was it. The Indomitable moved into position with the other 7 human ships. They were outnumbered more than 4-1. In any normal battle, they would lose. But this was not a normal battle. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer said. Commander Vren appeared on screen. He was large for a Krath with dark scales and cold eyes. He smiled, showing too many teeth. "You actually came," Vren said. "How stupid. 8 ships against my fleet? You will be destroyed in minutes." "You were given a chance to leave," Hyejin said coldly. "You chose poorly." "I chose victory," Vren sneered. "Now watch your ships burn." He cut the transmission and ordered his fleet to attack. The Krath warships surged forward in a wall of metal and energy. Plasma cannons charged. Missile tubes opened. Vren expected the humans to flee or at least fall back. Instead, the human ships accelerated straight at his fleet. "What are they doing?" his second officer asked. "They are committing suicide," Vren said, but doubt crept into his voice. The human ships hit 6 Gs of acceleration. Inside the Indomitable, the crew barely noticed. Humans trained at high gravity. Their bodies handled the stress easily. The distance closed in seconds. "Fire," Hyejin commanded. 8 human ships opened fire at once. Railgun rounds traveling at a significant fraction of light speed slammed into Krath shields. The shields, designed for energy dispersal, did nothing against physical projectiles. Metal punched through shields like they were paper. 3 Krath ships exploded instantly. 4 more went dark as railgun rounds tore through their engines. The human fleet blew past the Krath formation before they could even return fire. "Report," Vren screamed. 7 ships destroyed or disabled, Commander. They are turning for another pass." "Impossible." "What kind of weapons are those?" "Kinetic accelerators, sir." "Our shields are ineffective." Vren felt ice in his stomach. He had heard stories about humans, about their strange weapons and unnatural reflexes. He had dismissed them as exaggerations. Now he was watching his fleet get torn apart. All ships split formation. Do not cluster together. Target their engines. The Krath fleet scattered. The human ships dove back in, moving like sharks among prey. Every turn, every dodge was sharper and faster than should be possible. The Krath tried to track them, but the humans were too quick. Lieutenant Minseo coordinated the assault with cold precision. She identified weak points, called targets, adjusted fire solutions in real time. The Krath had numbers, but they were fighting blind. Every time they tried to corner a human ship, it was already gone. Attacking from a different angle. Hostile missiles incoming, the tactical officer on the Indomitable reported. Point defense, take them out, Deho ordered. Automated systems engaged, filling space with flak. The Krath missiles exploded harmlessly. In orbit, Admiral Heejin watched the battle unfold. 15 Krath ships were now disabled or destroyed. The rest were in disarray. But she knew this was just the first wave. Vren would regroup. He would call for reinforcements. This fight was far from over. Deho, take your ship and 4 others down to the surface, she ordered. Find the survivors. Get them to safety. What about you, Admiral? I will keep Vren busy. Go. Those people have waited long enough. The Indomitable broke from the battle and plunged into Thesara's atmosphere. 4 other ships followed. Deho watched the burning cities grow larger on the view screen. So much destruction. So much death. Scanning for life signs, the science officer said. I have multiple shelters across the planet. Most still have power. There are survivors. Get me locations. We are going in. The ship descended toward the largest city, or what was left of it. Buildings lay in ruins. Streets were scorched black. But underground, the sensors detected thousands of Velen huddled in shelters. Deho assembled his ground team. 20 soldiers in full combat armor, plus Dr. G1 and her medical staff. They loaded into drop pods and launched. In the shelter, Thelis heard explosions outside. More Krath attacks. His people pressed closer together, terrified. Then the ceiling shook. Metal screeched. The shelter doors sealed for days began to open. They found us, someone whispered. The Krath found us. Thelis stood, putting himself between the door and his people. If the Krath were coming, he would face them first. He would die first. The doors opened fully. Light flooded in. A figure stood silhouetted against the brightness. It was massive, easily twice the height of a Velen covered in dark armor. Thelis felt his heart stop. Then the figure removed its helmet. It was a human. Captain Deho looked down at the terrified Velen and spoke in a gentle voice, translated through his suit's computer. My name is Captain Deho. We received your message. We are here to help. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Thelis began to cry. They were not tears of fear. They were tears of relief, of hope, of gratitude so overwhelming he could not speak. The humans had come. Against all odds, against all logic, the Deathworlders had answered their call. Can you walk? Deho asked. We need to evacuate you to orbit. It is not safe here. Thelis found his voice. Yes, we can walk. Thank you. Thank you so much. Commander Vren stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Half his fleet was gone, disabled, destroyed, or fleeing. The humans had torn through his blockade like it was made of paper. His pride, his career, his very life was now at stake. Get me High Command, he snarled. Now. The communication took several minutes to establish. When the channel opened, the face of Admiral Kroven appeared. He was old for a Krath with scars running down his scaled face. He looked at Vren with cold contempt. You are losing to 8 ships, Kroven said flatly. They are Deathworlders, Vren protested. Their weapons, their speed, everything is wrong. Our intelligence was incomplete. Excuses. The Dominion does not accept failure. Then send reinforcements. If I had more ships, and you will have them, Kroven interrupted. The second battle group is already en route. 64 warships. They will arrive in 2 days. Until then, maintain the blockade. Do not let those humans leave the system. And if they attack again, then you fight. If you cannot defeat them, at least slow them down until reinforcements arrive. Do not disappoint me again, Commander. The transmission ended. Vren felt anger boil in his chest. He had lost face. He had been humiliated by creatures the galaxy considered barely civilized. The Krath Dominion was supposed to be feared. Instead, they had been beaten by primates from a backwater planet. He would make the humans pay for this. On the surface of Thesara, Captain Deho's team worked through the night. They moved from shelter to shelter, evacuating thousands of Velen. The transport ships made constant runs to orbit, ferrying refugees to the human fleet. It was exhausting work. Dr. Jiwon set up field hospitals in the ruins. She treated burns, broken bones, and shock. The Velen were so fragile that even moving them too quickly could cause injury. Her medical team learned to work with extreme care, like handling glass sculptures. How many more? Deho asked, checking his data pad. 15 shelters still showing life signs. His second officer replied. Maybe 30,000 Velen total. We have evacuated about half so far. Deho nodded. They were making progress, but the Krath could attack again at any moment. He looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, Admiral Hyejin was keeping the enemy fleet busy. But for how long? In orbit, Hyejin watched the tactical display with tired eyes. The Krath had pulled back to a defensive position around the planet's largest moon. They were waiting for something. Reinforcements, probably. Commander Taejin, status on the fleet? She asked. 3 ships have minor damage. The Eternal took a hit to the port side, but shields held. We can keep fighting. Taejin paused. But if they bring in more ships, Admiral, we will be in trouble. I know, Hyejin said quietly. She had known from the start this was a one-way trip. They could win the first battle, but not a prolonged war. The math was simple and brutal. But they had come anyway because it was the right thing to do. How long until the evacuation is complete? She asked. Captain Deho estimates another 12 hours to find and evacuate all survivors. Then we hold for 12 hours. No matter what. Lieutenant Minseo looked up from her station. Admiral, I am picking up massive FTL signatures at the edge of the system. Multiple contacts, at least 60 ships. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The Krath reinforcements had arrived early. Hyejin straightened her uniform. All ships, battle stations, prepare for engagement. On his command ship at the moon, Vren smiled as the second battle group arrived. 64 fresh warships armed and ready for battle. The humans were about to be crushed under superior numbers. Open a channel to the human fleet, he ordered. Hyejin's face appeared on his screen. She looked tired, but her eyes were hard as steel. Admiral Hyejin, Vren said. You fought well. I acknowledge your skill. But this is over. You are outnumbered 10-1. Surrender now and I will let you and your crews leave unharmed. We are not leaving without the Velen, Hyejin replied. Then you will die with them. I am offering you life. Take it, Hyejin smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Commander Vren, you misunderstand the situation. You think you have us trapped. But you are wrong. We are not trapped in here with you. You are trapped in here with us. Vren's smile faded. You are insane. No, I am human. Hyejin cut the transmission. Vren felt a chill run down his spine. Then he shook it off. It was just words. Empty bravado. He had the numbers. He would win. All ships, attack formation, he ordered. Destroy them. The combined Krath fleet, over 70 ships, began to advance. It was the largest force ever deployed against such a small target. The human fleet, 8 ships battered from the first battle, moved to intercept. This is suicide. Vren's tactical officer whispered. No, Vren said. This is victory, but Admiral Hyejin had no intention of fighting fair. She had spent the last 6 hours preparing a trap. Commander Taejin had worked miracles, reprogramming weapon systems and linking the fleet's computers into a single tactical network. Now the 8 human ships would fight as one. Minseo, execute plan hammer, Hyejin ordered. The human fleet suddenly split apart. 4 ships accelerated straight up out of the planetary plane. 4 ships dove down. The Krath fleet, expecting a frontal assault, hesitated. That hesitation cost them. The human ships attacked from above and below simultaneously, catching the Krath in a pincer. Railgun fire shredded through the unprepared formation. Missiles streaked across the void. The Krath ships tried to respond, but they were packed too close together. Their own weapons hit each other as much as the humans. Spread out, Vren screamed. Break formation. But it was too late. The humans were already inside their lines, moving at speeds that should have been impossible. Every maneuver pulled multiple Gs. Every turn was executed with perfect precision. The human ships danced through the battle like predators, striking and vanishing before the Krath could respond. On the Indomitable, Captain Deho had just returned from the surface. He took command of his ship and immediately joined the battle. His crew was exhausted, but they fought with desperate energy. They all knew what was at stake. Target that cruiser, Deho ordered. Fire all forward batteries, the railgun spoke. The Krath cruiser's shields collapsed and its hull buckled. It spun out of control, leaking atmosphere. Direct hit. Target destroyed. Next target. Keep moving. Do not give them a chance to lock on. The battle raged for 2 hours. It was brutal, chaotic, and bloody. The humans lost one ship when 3 Krath vessels managed to coordinate their fire. The destroyer Resolve went down fighting, taking 2 enemy ships with it, but the Krath were losing faster. Their superior numbers meant nothing when they could not land a clean hit. Human ships were smaller, faster, and far more maneuverable, and human crews could handle punishment that would kill most species. Commander Taejin pushed the Eternal's engines past every safety limit. Warning alarms screamed constantly. He ignored them all, routing power from life support, from crew quarters, from everywhere that was not weapons or shields. The ship groaned under the stress, but it held together. Lieutenant Minseo's tactical brilliance shone brightest in the chaos. She saw patterns where others saw only confusion. She predicted enemy movements before they happened. Every order she gave maximized damage to the Krath while minimizing risk to human ships. And Admiral Hyejin stood at the center of it all, calm as stone, directing the battle like a conductor leading an orchestra of destruction. Enemy flagship. Bearing 270, Minseo reported. Commander Vren's ship. All ships concentrate fire, Hyejin ordered. I want that ship crippled. 7 human ships turned as one. Every railgun, every missile, every weapon system locked onto Vren's command ship. The Krath commander saw it coming, but there was nowhere to run. Evasive maneuvers, he screamed. His ship tried to turn, but it was too large, too slow. The human barrage hit like the hammer of an angry god. Shields flared and died. Armor buckled. Systems exploded across the ship. The bridge lights went out. Damage report, Vren demanded. Engines offline. Weapons offline! We are dead in space, Commander. Vren looked at his tactical display with growing horror. 30 of his ships were destroyed or disabled. The rest were in full retreat, fleeing the system as fast as their engines could push them. The humans had won. It was impossible. It should have been impossible, but the humans had done it anyway. Get me Admiral Hyejin, he said quietly. The human admiral appeared on his emergency screen. Behind her, the bridge of the Eternal was damaged but functional. Her crew worked with efficient precision. Commander Vren, she said, do you surrender? Every instinct screamed at him to refuse, to fight to the last. But Vren was a soldier, not a fool. He knew when he was beaten. I surrender, he said. The words tasted like ash. Your crews will be taken prisoner and treated according to galactic conventions. Your damaged ships will be escorted to neutral territory and released. You personally will stand trial for war crimes against the Velen. Vren said nothing. What was there to say? Hyejin continued. And you will send a message to your high command. Tell them that any further aggression against the Sara will be met with the same response. Tell them that the Velen are under human protection now. Tell them that if the Krath Dominion wants war with Earth, we are ready. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from 200 species shouted over each other, their translation devices creating a cacophony of noise. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Subin representing Earth. She waited patiently for the noise to die down. It did not. Finally, she slammed her hand on the podium. The sound echoed through the chamber like a gunshot. Silence fell. Thank you, Subin said coldly. Now shall we discuss what actually happened at the Sara? Or would you prefer to continue screaming? The council speaker, a tall insectoid being named Thrix, gestured for calm. Ambassador Subin, humanity's actions were in direct violation of no less than 17 different protocols. You engaged in military action without council authorization. You attacked a sovereign fleet. You have started a war. No, Subin replied. We answered a distress call. The Velen asked for help. We provided it. The proper procedure is to bring such matters to the council. And what would the council have done? Subin interrupted. You were already debating when we left. How long would that debate have lasted? Days, weeks? The Velen would have been extinct by then. A representative from the Hexaron Collective spoke up. The procedures exist for a reason. Without them, we have anarchy. Any species could simply decide to attack another and claim it was for a good cause. Subin turned to face the speaker. You are absolutely right. Procedures are important. But tell me something. How many of you watched the Krath destroy the Velen cities? How many of you saw the distress calls? How many of you did nothing because it was not convenient to act? Silence. That is what I thought, Subin continued. The Velen are alive because humanity acted. If that makes us criminals in your eyes, so be it. We will wear that label proudly. This is not about pride, Thrick said. This is about stability. The Krath Dominion is furious. They are demanding reparations, territory concessions. If we do not punish humanity, the Krath have threatened to withdraw from the Council entirely. Let them leave, Subin said flatly. The Krath are bullies. They have been conquering peaceful worlds for decades while the Council did nothing. If they leave, good riddance, the chamber erupted again. Half the representatives agreed with Subin. The other half demanded that humanity be sanctioned, fined, or even expelled from the Council. The debate raged for hours. Meanwhile, news of the battle spread across the galaxy at light speed. On thousands of worlds, people watched footage of the fight. They saw 8 human ships defeat a fleet 10 times their size. They saw humans risk everything to save strangers. The reaction was divided. Some species saw humanity as dangerous, as violent Deathworlders who would bring war wherever they went. But many others saw something different. They saw hope. They saw that standing up to bullies was possible. On Earth, Admiral Hyejin returned to a hero's welcome. Crowds filled the streets. But Hyejin felt no joy. She was thinking about the crew of the Resolve, the ship that had been lost, 52 men and women who would never come home. She stood in her office looking out at the celebration below when General Hansok entered. He was the Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, a veteran of humanity's early conflicts in space. You should be down there, Hansok said. They are celebrating you. They are celebrating a victory, Hyejin replied. I am mourning the dead, Hansok nodded. He understood. The cost was high, but you saved an entire species. That matters, does it? The Council wants to punish us. Half the galaxy thinks we are warmongers. And the Krath, she paused. The Krath will want revenge. Let them come, Hansok said grimly. We will be ready, will we? Hyejin turned to face him. General, we won at Thesara because we had surprise and superior tactics. But the Krath Dominion has thousands of ships. If they come at us with their full strength, I am not sure we can win. Then we prepare for that possibility, Hansok said. I am mobilizing every defense fleet. We are recalling ships from patrol. Earth will become a fortress, Hyejin wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. The Krath would not let this insult stand. War was coming. The only question was when. Far away in Krath space, the Dominion's high command gathered in their war room. Admiral Kroven stood before a massive holographic display showing the entire galaxy. Around him sat the 12 lords who ruled the Krath Dominion. Explain, one lord demanded. How did we lose 70 ships to 8 human vessels? Kroven kept his voice level. The humans use kinetic weapons that bypass our energy shields. They maneuver at accelerations that would kill most species, and their tactics are unlike anything we have faced before. They are true Deathworlders. Excuses, another lord spat. You are making excuses for failure. I am stating facts, Kroven replied coldly. If we want to defeat humanity, we must understand them. They are not like other species. They do not fear death. They do not follow predictable patterns, and they are willing to sacrifice themselves for others, which makes them unpredictable. Then what do you suggest? The First Lord asked. Kroven touched the display. A map of human space appeared. Earth, we strike at their homeworld. Not to conquer it. That would require too many resources. But to hurt them. To break their spirit. We assemble the Grand Fleet, 200 ships. We jump into the Sol system, destroy their orbital infrastructure and leave. Show them that their heroics have consequences. The lords murmured among themselves. It was a bold plan. Risky. But the Krath needed to restore their reputation. They needed to prove they were still strong. How long to assemble the fleet? The First Lord asked. 3 weeks, make it 2 weeks. And Kroven, do not fail us. I will not, my lord. While the Krath prepared for war, something unexpected happened across the galaxy. Dozens of smaller species reached out to Earth. They were tired of living in fear of aggressive empires. They wanted mutual defense treaties. They wanted Earth's protection. Ambassador Subin found herself hosting meeting after meeting. The Velen sent Administrator Thelis himself, who offered everything his people had to repay their debt. Subin refused payment but accepted friendship. We do not want to be an empire, she told the visiting dignitaries. We do not want to rule over others, but we will stand with those who cannot stand alone. Treaties were signed. Alliances were formed. Within 2 weeks, Earth had gone from an isolated death world to the center of a growing coalition. It was unprecedented in galactic history, but not everyone was happy about this development. The older established powers worried about human influence growing too quickly, and they were right to worry. On a distant space station, intelligence officer Yunji worked in the shadows. She had been undercover in Krath territory for 3 years, posing as a traitor. Her cover was perfect. No one suspected the quiet merchant woman was actually gathering intelligence for Earth. She heard whispers. Rumors of a massive fleet gathering. Too many ships in one place. She began investigating, following the trail carefully. What she discovered made her blood run cold. The Krath were preparing to attack Earth itself. Yunji immediately sent an encrypted message back home. The transmission would take days to arrive. She prayed it would not be too late. Then she began sabotaging what she could. Stealing fuel supplies, corrupting navigation data, spreading false information, anything to slow down the Krath war machine. But one person could only do so much. On Earth, General Hansok received Yunji's warning. He immediately called an emergency meeting with all fleet commanders. Admiral Hyejin was there, along with Captain Daeho, who had been promoted to command his own battle group. The Krath are coming, Hansok said without preamble. Intelligence estimates 200 warships. They will arrive in less than 2 weeks. The room fell silent. 200 ships. It was the largest invasion force Earth would ever face. We have 37 combat-ready ships, Hyejin said quietly. Even with our advantages, those odds are impossible. What about our new allies? Someone asked. The Velen, the others, will they help? The Velen are sending their merchant fleet, Daeho replied. But they are not warships. They can help with evacuation and logistics, but not fighting. Our other allies are too small or too far away. Commander Hyejin spoke up. What if we turn the Sol system itself into a weapon? Use the asteroid belt, orbital platforms, automated defenses. Make every meter of space deadly. Explain, Hansok said. Hyejin brought up a holographic display of the solar system. We have mining operations throughout the asteroid belt. We convert them into weapon platforms. We place kinetic kill vehicles, just chunks of rock with engines, throughout the system. When the Krath arrive, we hit them from every direction. Use the terrain to our advantage. It will take every resource we have, Hyejin said. Every ship, every weapon, every last soldier. Then that is what we will commit, Hansok replied. We have 2 weeks. Let us make sure the Krath regret coming here. The meeting ended. Orders went out across the entire solar system. Every human ship was recalled. Every defense platform was activated. Civilian vessels were armed with whatever weapons could be installed quickly. The asteroid belt became a fortress. Dr. Ji-won prepared hospital ships for mass casualties. She did not allow herself to think about how bad it could get. She just focused on preparing for the worst. Lieutenant Min-seo worked 20-hour days planning defensive strategies. She ran thousands of simulations looking for any advantage, any weakness to exploit. The Krath Grand Fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. 200 warships, the largest invasion force ever assembled. They spread out in formation, blocking out the stars. On the lead ship, Admiral Kroven looked at the sensor readings with satisfaction. Target confirmed. 3rd planet from the star. That is Earth. Shall we send the surrender demand, Admiral? His communications officer asked. Yes. Let us give them one chance to avoid annihilation. The message was broadcast on all frequencies. People of Earth, this is Admiral Kroven of the Krath Dominion. You have interfered in our affairs. You have destroyed our ships. You have insulted our honor. Surrender now. Disarm your fleet. Submit to Dominion authority. You have 1 hour to respond. If you refuse, we will reduce your orbital infrastructure to rubble. Your cities will burn. Your civilization will end. Choose wisely. On Earth, in the Defense Command Center, General Hansok listened to the message. Around him stood every major military leader of Earth. Admiral Hyejin, Captain Daeho, Commander Hyejin, Lieutenant Min-seo. They were ready, sir, an officer asked. Your response? Hansok activated the transmission. His voice was steady and cold. Admiral Kroven, this is General Hansok, Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Forces. We have received your message. Here is our response, he paused. Come and take it. Kroven felt anger surge through him. These arrogant primates dared to defy the Dominion. Very well. They would learn their lesson the hard way. All ships advance. Destroy everything. The Krath fleet began moving toward Earth. They expected to sweep aside any resistance quickly. They had overwhelming numbers. They had superior technology. They had done this 100 times before, but Earth was different. The Krath fleet entered the asteroid belt. Immediately alarms blared. Hidden among the rocks were hundreds of weapon platforms. They activated simultaneously, launching kinetic kill vehicles. Chunks of iron and nickel accelerated to tremendous speed slammed into the Krath formation. 3 ships exploded instantly. 5 more took critical damage. The Krath fleet scattered, trying to avoid the sudden barrage. "What is this?" Krovan demanded. "Where are those weapons coming from?" "The asteroids themselves, sir. The entire belt is armed. Destroy those platforms." But the platforms were small, hidden and spread across millions of kilometers. Finding and destroying them all would take days. The Krath fleet pushed forward, taking losses with every kilometer. Lieutenant Minseo watched from the Defense Command Center. Every platform was under her control, linked through a tactical network. She tracked 200 enemy ships simultaneously, directing fire where it would hurt most. "Enemy formation breaking up," she reported. "They are taking the bait." Admiral Hyejin stood ready on the Eternal. Her fleet, 37 warships, was hidden behind the moon, waiting. "Hold position. Wait for my signal." The Krath fleet finally cleared the asteroid belt. They had lost 12 ships. Krovan was furious but confident. The worst was behind them. Now they could see Earth, a blue jewel hanging in space. He could see the orbital stations, the defense platforms, the human fleet position. All ships attack formation. Target the orbital infrastructure first. Then we will deal with their fleet. The Krath fleet surged forward. That was when the second trap sprung. From behind the moon, the human fleet emerged at full speed. 37 ships, their engines burning bright, accelerating at rates that made the Krath sensors flicker in disbelief. They were not falling back. They were charging straight at the enemy. "They are insane!" Krovan's tactical officer shouted. "They are Deathworlders," Krovan said grimly. "All ships engage!" The 2 fleets collided in the space between Earth and the moon. It was the largest space battle in human history. Railgun fire filled the void. Missiles streaked in every direction. Energy beams lanced out. Ships exploded in balls of fire. Captain Deho commanded his battle group with cool precision. His ships moved in coordinated strikes, hitting enemy vessels and retreating before they could respond. It was like fighting wolves, quick, deadly, and impossible to pin down. Commander Taijin pushed every ship to its absolute limit. Engines screamed. Hulls groaned. But they held together. Human engineering, built to withstand Earth's harsh environment, proved its worth. On the Indomitable, Deho watched the tactical display. "Target that carrier. All weapons fire." His ship's railgun spoke. The Krath carrier's shields collapsed. Its hull buckled. Secondary explosions ripped through it. Target destroyed. Next target. "Keep moving." The battle raged for 3 hours. It was brutal, desperate, and bloody. The humans fought with everything they had. Every trick, every tactic, every ounce of skill and courage. But the numbers were against them. One by one, human ships fell. The destroyer Horizon took 3 direct hits and exploded. The cruiser Defiant had its engines destroyed and went dead in space. The frigate Swift rammed a Krath battleship when its weapons failed, taking both ships out. Admiral Hyejin watched her fleet die. They were inflicting terrible damage on the Krath. 50 enemy ships were destroyed or disabled. But it was not enough. The Krath still had over 100 functional ships. Earth's defense was failing. "Admiral," Minseo said quietly, "the Krath are positioning to bombard the surface." Hyejin felt ice in her chest. This was it. They had fought as hard as they could, but it was not enough. Earth was going to burn, then something impossible happened. "Admiral," the communications officer shouted. "New contacts." Multiple FTL signatures. On the tactical display, new ships appeared. Dozens of them. No, hundreds. They emerged from faster-than-light travel in every direction. The design was unfamiliar. "They were not Krath, they were not human. Who are they?" Hyejin demanded. "It is the Velen merchant fleet," the officer said, voice shaking. "And they brought friends." Administrator Thelis stood on the bridge of his flagship. He had sworn his people owed humanity a debt. Now he would pay it. Behind him came every Velen ship that could make the journey. They were merchants, not warriors. Their ships had no weapons. But they did not come to fight. "All ships move to surround Earth," Thelis ordered. "Position yourselves between the planet and the Krath fleet. Whatever happens, we protect our saviors. But the Velen were not alone. Word had spread across the galaxy about Earth's stand. Dozens of species inspired by human courage sent what help they could. Small fleets from minor powers, merchant vessels armed with mining equipment, science ships and colony transports. They were not warships, but they came anyway. Kroven stared at his display in disbelief. Hundreds of ships now filled the battle space. Most were civilian vessels, but there were too many to ignore. "Admiral," his tactical officer said, "we cannot bombard Earth without hitting those civilian ships. Then push through them." "Sir, if we fire on unarmed vessels, every species in the galaxy will turn against us. The Dominion will be isolated. We will have war with everyone." Kroven felt fury and frustration war inside him. He had come here to break humanity. Instead, he was being checkmated by a fleet of merchants and civilians. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer said. "It is Ambassador Subin from Earth." Subin's face appeared on the screen. Behind her stood representatives from 20 different species. "Admiral Kroven," she said, "as you can see, Earth is not alone. We stand together, all of us. If you attack Earth, you attack all of us. Is that a war the Krath Dominion is prepared to fight?" Kroven looked at the tactical display. His fleet had already lost 70 ships. The humans were still fighting fiercely. And now hundreds of witnesses surrounded Earth, watching everything. If he continued, it would be a massacre broadcast across the entire galaxy. The Krath Dominion would become outcasts. Enemies to everyone he had lost. Not through military defeat, but through something far more powerful. Unity, solidarity, the very thing the Dominion relied on preventing. "This is not over," Kroven said finally. "Yes," Subin replied calmly. "It is. You just have not accepted it yet." Kroven cut the transmission. He turned to his fleet commanders. "All ships withdraw. We are leaving." "Sir?" "That is an order. We are leaving. Now." The Krath fleet began to retreat, jumping to faster than light travel one by one. Within an hour, they were gone. The Battle of Sol was over. On Earth, people poured into the streets. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had stood their ground and survived. The celebrations lasted for days. But in the Defense Command Center, there was no celebrating. General Hansuk stood with his officers looking at the casualty reports. 12 human ships destroyed, 6,000 dead, thousands more wounded. "We won," Hansuk said quietly. "But the cost was high." "It always is," Hijin replied. She looked tired, older somehow. "But we are alive. Earth survives. And we have allies now," Deho added. "Real allies. Species that came when we needed them. Just as we went to Thessera." Administrator Thelis entered the command center. The old Velen looked at the human commanders with deep respect. "We could not stand by," he said. "You saved our entire species. How could we do less for you?" "You risked everything," Hijin said. "Your ships are unarmed. If the Krath had attacked you, then we would have died knowing we did the right thing," Thelis interrupted gently. "You taught us that, Admiral. You showed us that doing nothing in the face of evil is itself evil. The Velen will never forget that lesson."